And viewers, well, as you should know by now, today is the day that we say goodbye to our first Chief Secretary, Mr. Hochoy Charles. And all week we've been having discussions about him, and we are just going to continue having those discussions about him because he lived such a remarkable life, especially in service to this great island. And starting off the conversations with me this morning, because we've got a few guests on, with starting us off, we have Mr. Brendon Gray, who is a friend and colleague of Mr. Charles, as we speak about him today. So special good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
Well, welcome to you. Thank you very much for inviting me. And Happy New Year to you, your staff, and the Tobago and your viewing public. As a matter of fact, whenever I'm out of the country, Tobago Update is the station that I look at. You
Certainly
know,
appreciate it.
I get up
And many
early. I have to
happy
get.
returns to you as
That's
well.
right. I get up very early on mornings because we have time changes there. You know what I mean? And I'm happy that I'm here with you. Thanks.
All right. Now, I just want to get us started off. Now, you were somebody who, like I said, a friend and a colleague. You would have done some work with him, traveled to the Bahamas with him in 1968, and so on. Tell me about that time in your life.
Yes, we were all young people, traveling. I left here at a pretty young age, just left school. And there was this opportunity to go to the Bahamas to work for the government in the prison service. And you recall at that time, our income was, my income, I worked at Gordon Grant at that time, was $26 a week, and that was plenty money at that time. And there was this opportunity to go to work in the Bahamas. I remember it was 240 our exchange rate was in those days. So there it is, they're offering you $50 per week, and we were earning $26 per week here. The police was just about $110 a month. So we were just about the same thing, kind of. So we saw that as an opportunity to go to the Bahamas to work for the government there. And he was one of the 5 Tobagonians selected out of the 35 Trinidad and Tobago citizens who went. So 5 of us from Tobago were selected, were successful in the selection process. That was a gentleman, Melville from the East, I think Delaford, Kenneth King from Lowlands, Tony Welch from Mason Hall, Brother Charles, Chief Secretary Charles, and I would want to put that in front, Chief Secretary Hochoy Charles, as they do in the United States, President Clinton, even if you left office, I think we need to start that process, and myself. And so, even there in the Bahamas, the same principle that he enunciated here in his political life, he did the same process there. As a matter of fact, there was a nickname, we call him Sledge.
Sledge. So we moved from sledge to heavy roller
That's
later on
right,
in
that's
life.
right. So and I could give you he seemed to be fighting for those who do not have a voice. That's to me the way I could remember all his activity in my knowledge of him. He's fighting for the person. He's the voice for those who do not have a voice. And so what happened there was we got there, we were supposed to be given uniforms, full uniforms, hat, tunic, pants, and so on, and shoes and belt. And that dragged on for quite a while. We had to use our own clothes. And he was the one who advocated on behalf of all the members, all the persons who came from Trinidad. There were 30 from Barbados and 35 from Trinidad and Tobago. And so the 65 of us, and he is the one who advocated with the authorities to make sure that we got our uniform. And he did it in a way only he can do it. Very forceful, and that's why the name Sledge was given to him in the Bahamas. Even today, I just came back from the Bahamas on Monday, and one of the gentlemen who was the Trinidad and Tobago Association president in the Bahamas for quite some time. Every time I go there, I would go at his home and look him up. And anytime he comes to Trinidad and Tobago, he comes and look for me and so. And on Friday last, I went to his house to sit and have a drink or two and something to eat and again. And the first thing he asked me is, "How is Sledge?" And I indicated to him, well, I heard he's not doing too well, but what my last information is that he was improving. So we sat and we talked and we laughed about all the situations, about all the guys and so on. And on Sunday, when I got the news, I was still in the Bahamas. I called him to tell him what the situation was. So we had that engagement in the Bahamas with him, and as I said, he did not change that impression of me to him when I got back here. Yeah.
So, what do you think inspired? Because you mentioned earlier that, he was somebody that was always fighting for those people that did not have a voice. What do you think inspired him to have that fight within him?
Well, I don't know. As he said, Hochoy, someone said that how he was born, was given the name Hochoy and so on. So I don't know. He just was that kind of person. He was just that kind of person. I mean, I knew him here too when I came back home to Trinidad and Tobago. I first was in Trinidad, so I didn't get contact with him. But when I got back to Tobago, I can't recall how, but I believe that as a footballer, I played with Sister Pam's brother Nal, who thought that, I don't know if he's thinking now, who thought at that time he was the best thing after Pele. And so I went at his home, and there I think I met Sister Pam, and she invited me to attend a meeting with Mr. Robinson, and that is where I started the whole process of, and so on. I met with him, and we sat down and we talked, and we laughed about all the things that he did in the Bahamas. He like a good shit talker. Maybe he like a good sit down. He has a soft side. Let's understand that.
And let's talk about that soft side.
Yes.
What are some of those memories from those early days as a young man in Bahamas that stood out to you in your memories about him?
Well, the idea is that he would sit down and he would talk about things that I can't talk about here. But he likes a good laughter, and he engages you seriously when he has to engage you serious, and he can engage you with laughter, and he had that kind of laughter that would make you laugh too. So he has that soft side. He has a side that not many people know about. Yeah. In quiet days, he will sit down, and there's only few people he will show that side to, I believe, of who he really is as a normal and regular person. And I had that impression of him. Yeah.
And then later on in life, now you said after you came back to Tobago, you started working along with him again in the politics and so on. What were those days like?
Well, again, I would say that's where I got to understand him as a true patriot of Tobago. Yeah, I got to understand his thinking. I then understand how I should think about the relationships that we have in our country, Trinidad and Tobago. I understood it. He's the one who brought that, besides Mr. Robinson, of course. When I listened to him, and the first time I heard him speak about internal self-government, but the real architect of the whole concept, I think, Hochoy epitomizes that because of his deep belief that we as Tobagonians and as Tobago, we are not given the right, we're not given the right to operate ourselves and operate the way we ought to operate in this island. And he fought I think up to the end, I would say that he would have fought up to the end
Yes.
to engage in that regard. And I think that this has afforded us some opportunity, I would think, whoever is the authorities now, to make this a pledge to pursue this with certain vigor, that we must now engage everyone, and not only the leaders that probably in the politics, but everyone, every Tobagonian, whether you're on this side, that side, it's not a matter of side here. This is Tobago. I think this is a necessary thing that we need to do. Everyone must be involved in this. As a matter of fact, as the chairman, I served as chairman of the Tobago News for close to 19 years. Yeah. And I think some of the documents, some of the documentation, as a matter of fact, we kept it, every issue of the Tobago News, it's in binders. And I think that can be served as a tool for going back and seeing what really took place, how Tobago, where we moved, where we were, and the transition that we made. I think that is a very important factor. I don't know where the binders are. I think the only person I can relate to with that is Mr. Denzel White, who is right in this building somewhere. He may be able to give you an idea of where those binders are, because it's research material, and it should be lodged to me in the library
Yes.
for research for the future. And that would have been my action had I been there still, and had it still been going. I resigned in 2015.
Yes. But I mean, after politics, I mean, after active politics, I should say, Mr. Hochoy Charles did not give up. He continued fighting. And what would you say, would you say how he changed, or how was he as a man, as even somebody, as a politician, after coming out of office and until his death? What would you describe that period of his life?
I would say that he was always a politician. He has never stopped being a politician. That's it. He has never stopped being that. Look at what he did to try to bring the island together. I can remember when Chief Secretary of London engaged in forming this team to look at Tobago, to make a bill to send to Trinidad. Some people thought that he should not have gone and joined that.
Yes.
A lot of people who were upset that he joined that exercise, but that's not what his thought was. His thought is Tobago. How can I influence what we really want here in Tobago? And so he joined it and worked with the team to produce something that is today a live document, sitting in Parliament without any activation, where they brought another document to Tobago sometime in 2021, I think it was, and that has no resemblance of what was the people's
original document that was
sent down.
Yes.
And he fought again there to say that is not what we want. And you could recall the fight.
Yes. Oh, I do. I mean, and one thing that's also interesting is that Mr. Charles was not a lawyer by profession.
That's right.
But he understood the law. He understood the legislation more than most people, I think. In fact, I personally learned quite a lot about our Constitution, the THA Act. I learned it all from him.
And he has it in his head.
And he has it in his head.
That is in his head.
I mean, as somebody who did not have that official training in law and so on, how did he become so intelligent?
Because he read a lot. He read it, and he kept all documents. As a matter of fact, I would think that the document that was drafted for the 1772, when Mr. Robinson and his team went to Trinidad to meet with Pandy and to meet with Mr. Manning And Mr. Manning did not assume that. He said that he'll win alone, lose alone kind of thing.
Yes.
Um, and the document that was drafted for that coming together with the UNC and the, the NAR Tobago, I think he would have had that document in his library. The amount of information that he would read, he read excessively and interpret things with a certain intelligence that I'm thinking that we don't know.
Yes, certainly. And I think the epitome of it was in 2017 when he noted that, when he noted that there was a problem with the elections and so on, and basically called
Called
out the
all the
parliament in Christmas
That's
at
right,
Christmas time.
exactly, and had to change the ABC had to make some adjustments
Yes.
to some. He called them out, and said that that is wrong,
Yes, said that
and they
the
wrote it
election
from
was
the.
illegal.
That's right. So you understand, he, we look at life, and we look at someone who came by and were born, and we die. But the amount we have lost because of his death, it's phenomenal.
Certainly.
It's what you lose, how you lose, the things you lose when someone dies. I mean, you have, you grow up, you put all the intelligence, everything in your mind, you learn everything. But at the end, what happened? What happened in the end? You carry all of that with you. You lost it. Tobago has lost a treasure.
And that's on that note is how we'll have to end our conversation here this morning, Mr. Brendon Gray. It's such a pleasure speaking with you and, getting a little bit of those memories, especially of a younger Mr. Hochoy Charles.
Yes, yeah. I must say that I have to smile because there are things that I know that I can't speak here.
And maybe at a different platform, at a different space, we can speak about some of those
Some of
things.
those things probably. But I would want to encourage the station to start looking at an event like you have your Monday forum or something like that, where you have someone go in and do the research and bring that information to the public. Someone can take that up and speak to that about all the parliamentary speeches, all the things that has happened in this house and so on. And let's get that information.
Yes,
Yeah?
definitely.
Thank you very much for
Thank you so much, Mr. Gray. And viewers, please don't go anywhere because we're not done yet. We've got a whole lot more coming up for you on GMT.